Very recently, I was about to spend some money on a very nice Eurorack compressor. I might still do, but I thought, wait a minute, I can actually build my very own Eurorack compressor just putting some modules together. So today I thought I'd share this process with you. Let me start by telling you the ingredients for today's recipes. Moog Mavis, which you might already be familiar with because of this video that I put out recently. Malekko Variegate 4 Plus to sequence it. 2 HP kick, which is a kick drum. Make Noise Mult, which is a simple passive multiple. IntelliGel Quad VCA. xaocdevices Zadar with its NIN expander. We're not actually going to use the NIN expander, but it was just stored together, so I put it in this pod. Samara 2, also by xaocdevices. This thing Mark 4. This is all you need for today's patch. Although you don't need these exact modules, pretty much any VCA, envelope generator, and some sort of CV modifier will do. Then we're going to have Mordax data and my mixer just for seeing what's going on and to send stuff to my computer. I forgot IKEA fake plant, which is essential. Let me start by patching something together for a Mavis so that we have a basic sound and a basic kick drum. So I got my sequence and my kick drum. Very simple. So the very first thing that we're gonna try and do is to duck the sound of the Mavis every time that the kick drum hits. So that would require a very basic sidechain compressor. Let's do that. Here's my plan. I'm gonna send the Mavis to a VCA rather than sending it straight to the mixer. By the way, this mixer has some VCAs, but we're not gonna use it for this purpose. I'm gonna send the Mavis to a VCA, and then I'm gonna send an envelope from the Zadar inverted through Samara, so that basically every time that it gets triggered, the VCA volume of the Mavis gets lowered. So basically I'm just gonna use the same trigger for both the kick drum and for my envelope generator. I'm gonna use Zadar for this. So let's have a look at what is the output of Zadar right now. So you have this basic shape, and the NIN expander is nice because I can trigger envelopes manually. There you go. You'll see that this is the envelope. However, I can send it to Samara through this very, very handy inverted input, which essentially is going to invert the envelope. And now you see that I get a negative one, basically. So I can use this to duck my VCA. So let's do it. I'm going to keep this one as is. Then I'm gonna grab the VCA out of my Mavis and bringing it into the input one of the IntelliGel Quad VCA. By the way, I love using the Quad VCA because the CV input are normalized for all 4 channels. So that means that if I have a stereo input, I can patch 2 channels and only trigger the first one, and the other one will be triggered automatically, but that's another story. And then I need my out back into my mixer. Okay, I have it over here because I'm not ducking anything at the moment, obviously. There we go. And now if I grab this inverted out, I use the control CV this one, it should duck it quickly. There you go. Obviously this is not a right shape to do this. I want to get something. Let's do the first one again as a basis, but then you want to get a nice kind of slope there. And then basically the duration of the envelope is going to represent the release of your compressor. It's obviously way too much, so I have a way to control this with Samara, and it's gonna control the amount of attenuation. So this is basically my ratio. Something like that. And obviously I can also change the attack of this by changing a different shape. I got something like this, and then I warp it so that it gets you can. The cool thing about this is that you can select any shape you'd like, which is really cool. And now let's bring our kick drum back in. Get it over here. And now what I need to do is to molt this gate for the kick drum. Take it into my multiple, and the multiple output 1 goes back into the trigger, and then I'm gonna use exactly the same trigger to trigger this envelope. And now I should have something that works very much like a ducking sidechain compressor. Let's try it. There you go. Increasing it. Cool. I can experiment with different shapes, different release time. There you go. Cool thing about the Xaoc VCA is that you can also change the VCA response. You can boost it. So really lots that you can do. Prefer non-boosted actually. However, obviously no reasons to stop here. How about we build a proper actual compressor with a threshold? Let's do that. I'm going to introduce something called a comparator, which I have over here, mode A7 of the Distinct Mark IV. And what a comparator does is that it checks two input signals, X and Y, and spits out a gate in A if X is higher than Y, and spits out a gate in B if Y is higher than X. So basically, if I can, assuming that we're going to compress my kick drum, if I'm gonna send the output of my kick drum into X, and then I have a way to feed Y with a controllable continuous voltage, I can have that voltage be my threshold, and then I can have a gate every time that the level of that kick drum is higher than Y, and that I can have that trigger my envelope, my negative envelope that lowers the volume of the VCA. So I have the output of my kick drum that goes into this multiple, and then one copy of the signal goes into the VCA and another copy goes into the input X of my comparator. Then channel 1 and 3 for Samara can act as a source of continuous voltage, which I can vary using the knobs. So I'm going to put the offset voltage plus 5, so I'm only gonna get positive voltage, and the output of this goes into Y. So basically this is going to be my variable threshold. If you want to have a look at it on the oscilloscope, we can. So this is what I'm patching into it. You'll see that basically it's only positive, and this is going to be my threshold. It's going to be the value that the kick drum needs to pass if I want my compressor to be activated. So let's do that. I'll send the out of this one into Y. So now you see that if I move this, this is gonna send a gate to A or to B. There you go. So this is gonna be my threshold. Now, since this gate opens up when X is higher than Y, I want to use this as a trigger for my envelope, for my negative envelope. And I want this envelope again to be inverted by Samara. So I'm going to put it into the inverted input. And the output of this goes into the CV input of the VCA. And then obviously the output of my VCA needs to go back into my mixer. Cool, let's start lowering the threshold. Then now I have on 2 the amount that the compressor is going to compress. Choose something with a bit of attack. Can shape it as we like. So we can have a look at this first of all by comparing compressed output and the original output. Put this into another channel over here. I'm going to activate this. There you go. Let's also put one on top of the other. There you go. So I can confront them this way, the compressed and the uncompressed version of it. And then I can send those two to a channel of my vortices mixer. Let me move my camera a little bit. That has a crossfader. So I can crossfade between the two and essentially get some parallel compression. So here's my dry signal, this is my compressed one. can dial in gradually. Let me also grab in my Mavis and bring it back into the mix. And then I can experiment with all sorts of different shapes. So this one. Can essentially destroy you can use the input of the mixer as a sort of a makeup. There you go. Compressed, dry, both together. There you go. We get some parallel compression. There you go. I hope this was useful. Cool thing about these things, and the cool thing about Eurorack in general, is that, you know, it's a compressor. You can do it exactly like you like. You can, as long as you have the skills to do it, you can really do whatever you like. And that's the cool thing about Eurorack. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done that, so you can be notified every time I put a new video out. And I'll see you next time.